On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Yeah, the big day has come. The big pardon, the thing that he said he wouldn't do. Shocked? He did the thing he said he wouldn't do? Gee, I wonder how many other things he's done that he said he wouldn't do, but he said he didn't do it. Oh, is that what he said? Oh, it's adorable. It's adorable. And again, let's get into it. I was going to go on one of my little tangents, but we don't need to. I want to, but we don't need to. That's the difference. ICE says nearly 180,000 non-citizens deliberately not detained. They're roaming free, just running around in America right now. These kinds of things are one of the huge problems that, Joe Biden says he hasn't done. Of course he didn't do it. He has had nothing to do with this because he doesn't do anything. I don't think he's ever been in charge, frankly, folks. But whatever the case is, we've got a mess to clean up. We are close to doing just that. Deep State's freaking out. We've got a lot of examples of that as well. But we've got Tom Homan talking about, what's going on and how they're going to roll with this and, potential conversation with Eric Adams in New York. Isn't that interesting?
Let's bring in the incoming border czar, Tom Homan. He had a big week already, Tom. Good morning. Thank you for your time. Here is Alex Padilla, Democrat from California. Push may come to shove here from CBS on Sunday.
We're not going to utilize state and local resources to do the federal government's job for them. And so if it's legal assistance, legal advice, legal support, that's just the California way. We embrace our diversity. Our diversity is what's made our communities thrive and our economy thrive. And so we will assist families against the threats of the Trump administration.
There it is, that last line, will assist families against the threats of the Trump administration, of which you will soon be a part. Here's California 4 years ago. Here's California today. Look at that red shift. But there is still plenty of blue if you want to run and hide, Tom. What's going to happen?
Well, look, we're not asking local law enforcement to be immigration officers. We're asking them to just, like, for instance, the jails. Let us in your jail. Let us in your publicly funded jails to take custody of an illegal alien that you decided to lock into a jail cell because obviously he's a public safety threat. The California Sheriff's Association is behind us 100%. Law enforcement wants to work with us. We're not asking you to be immigration officers. We're asking you to assist us in the jails. Let us in the jail to arrest the bad guy, because if we can't arrest the bad guy in the jail, in the safety and security of a jail, that means they release them back in the community, which means we got to send officers out in the community, which makes it unsafe for the officers, makes it unsafe for the alien, makes it unsafe for the immigrant community. And they're screaming and yelling. They don't want ICE officers in their neighborhoods. Well, guess what? If you don't let us in the jail, you are forcing us into the neighborhood. More officers in the jail means less officers in the neighborhood. It's just simple math.
Well, speaking of bad guys, from California to New York. New York Post cover, trendy Aragua gangbangers tied to wild Colorado apartment takeover, arrested in major New York City drug gun bust, according to sources there. A lot of folks in Colorado said it's not just true. It's just not true. It's happening in places like Aurora. However, in New York City now, you've got more than 750,000 illegals, but the middle number is the most surprising to me. 58,626 previously convicted of crimes and charges pending. I got to think that's the group that you will target based on what you have said to date, Tom. Am I right on that or not?
First of all, Aurora, Colorado, I was there. I went there. I went to that apartment complex. I talked to residents of that complex. They're lying to the American people. Tren de Agua took over that area, and not just that one apartment complex, that entire area. I was there. I saw. But you're right. New York City, there's a target-rich environment for illegal aliens with criminal convictions or pending criminal charges, and that's what President Trump has been clear about from day one. Right out of the gate, in the deportation operation, right out of the gate, our priorities are public safety threats and national security threats. So I hope that every elected mayor and elected governor will agree with us that public safety threats need to be removed from their communities.
On that point, Tom, does it appear that the Democratic mayor in New York, Eric Adams, a former cop, is ready to work with you?
I hope so, because I've just been notified he wants to sit down and meet with me. I'm willing to meet with him. I'm willing to meet with anybody to help make their community safer. Because again, prioritization out of the gate is public safety threats. Work with us on that. It makes your community safer. It keeps my officers safe. It keeps the community safe. Let's work together and get this done.
When's that meeting happen?
I haven't responded yet, but I'll respond this week.
Okay, we'll be in touch with you and him. Tom Homan, thanks. Maybe you can come on together, and we'll have it out. Thank you, sir. We'll talk later this week. Tom Homan,
they're not going to do that. Get out of here. They're not going to do something stupid like that and make it a friggin' circus. You would want that news media, you crazy people. All right, we got a lot to talk about with this pardon. I'm going to try to cover it the best I can. There's so much to digest here. Also going to talk about what legally can constitute a pardon. And I was actually not very wrong, but I had some assumptions that I think many of us probably held as well that I don't think are legal based off of what we understand. And also, I also think this was another one of those tricks that we deployed against the deep state, and they wrote this article, this set of rules, because of Trump, because they wanted to stop Trump from pardoning anybody on his way out the door, of pardoning himself or anything like that. So they put these rules, this understanding, this legal precedence in place. Well, Trump didn't do any of the things they claimed he was going to do, and Joe Biden has. Uh-oh. Did we trick them again? It might seem so. We'll get there. A lot to talk about. All right, starting here. Biden on 6/13, June 13th, 2024. Just a mere 6 months ago, almost, less than. Quote, I said I'd abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him. Well, he signed the pardon today. I don't know if this is the one I'm supposed to read, or I think I've got a better version of it. I hope, anyways. Got a few things to pull up here. All right, here is the statement from Joe Biden that I just claimed I had. Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Again, just imagine Trump and his family just throughout this entire thing, first off. Second off, he said, and I said I would not interfere with decision-making, and I kept my word. You haven't kept your word. You've just pardoned him. I mean, you haven't pardoned him up until now, and thusly kept your word up until now? Is that what you say to your child that had to shower with you? Up until now, I wasn't a creepy dad, but now I am. Like, how do you deal with that? Whatever. He continues. I'm going to try not to stop all over the place on this. It's just brr. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form, how they claimed an expense was a legal expense. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. Trump and his misvaluating Mar-a-Lago that the bank made money on, no one complained, there was nobody harmed. But it's different then. It's clear that Hunter was treated differently. Was he? Feels like he was treated exactly how you treated Trump and his family. The charges in his cases came only after several of my political opponents in Congress, and this instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Sound familiar? Then, a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom. So his Department of Justice making a plea deal for his son, and then the judge was like, whoa, what's this? What's this? No, this is absurd. Is this even legal? And so this perfect plea deal that would have given Hunter immunity legally wasn't allowed to happen. So something similar has occurred. So the carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Justice Department unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's case. Stormy Daniels and the non-disclosure agreement that they broke open in court, and he let it be in court, even though it had nothing to do with the case at hand. It's just salacious. Okay? No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son. Appointed, or a political dude coming at you politically, right? Your opponent, that word. And apparently Biden thinks it's wrong to go after someone just because they're political. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. I will agree. They've been pretty hard on Hunter, but Barron, they've been beating up on him since he turned 18. And Dawn and Eric and Melania, or what's the daughter, Laura, right? All of them. There's been an effort to break Hunter, right? In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me. And there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth. Sorry. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe in raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. Important to point out that I think this was also sort of a play by the good guys in that they're like, look, here's the thing. If you're going to continue to go after Trump, we will actually start to go after you and your family. We've got courts in our side. We got courts that'll actually let us do the legal thing, and we've got actual legitimate legal stuff. Not you. Now, here is the actual verbiage, or at least an important part of the legal verbiage that President Biden actually filed as this, rather than what he said, because he's so honest and forthcoming. Here, Robert Hunter Biden, a full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014, Burisma just before, through December 1st, 2024, right up until today, the day he did this, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by Special Counsel David C. Weiss and docket number yada yada. Blah, 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 blah. So, and yeah, I have hereunto signed my name and caused the pardon to be recorded with the Department of Justice. For crimes he committed during the entire time they were doing things that were illegal, that Trump actually got impeached for trying to investigate into. During that entire time, because they know Ukraine's toast. They know Trump's going to get in there and do his investigation. They know that the truth from Russia is going to be allowed into the public sphere, and Trump will be like, oh, this is horrible, we will stop this and are stopping this. DOGE is going to have more power to put an end to these things. All of the things happening right now are building up to the point where we will realize, holy crap. And I mean as a nation. We'll see how many make it. That's really sad. There's a few people that are starting to drop in my circle, and people that you wouldn't have thought would have ever. Like, we just won literally out of the blue. It's just hug the people you love, folks. We're getting into the heavy part, and we'll see how these things continue to play out. Now, Empower Oversight put this out. IRS whistleblower Supervisory Special Agent Gary Shapley and Special Agent Joe Ziegler made the following statement after President Biden pardoned his son. Quote, no amount of lies or spin can hide the simple truth that the Justice Department nearly let the president's son off the hook for multiple felonies. We did our duty, told the truth, and followed the law. Anyone reading the president's excuses now should remember that Hunter Biden admitted to his tax crimes in federal court, that Hunter Biden's attorneys have targeted us for our lawful whistleblower disclosures, and that we are suing one of those attorneys for smearing us with false accusations. Continuing to quote, President Biden has the power to put his thumb on the scales of justice for his son, but at least he had to do it with a pardon explicitly for all the world to see, rather than his political appointees doing it secretly behind the scenes. This is the thing that broke in court. It's awesome. Continuing the quote, Either way, it is a sad day for law-abiding taxpayers to witness this special privilege for the powerful. And that's true. And we do have a funny meme or post. I hope it comes up next. I doubt I'd be so lucky. That would have been really, really cool on my part if I would have pulled it off that way. But we'll get there because it's not here. Jim Jordan, Democrats said there was nothing to our impeachment inquiry. If that's the case, why did Joe Biden just issue Hunter Biden a pardon for the very thing, the very things we were inquiring about? I clicked the button too fast. Chuck Grassley put this out. I'm shocked President Biden pardoned his son Hunter because he said many, many times he wouldn't, and I believed him. Shame on me. Amen to that. Brian Cates put this out, and now Hunter gets pardoned. This guarantees he talks under oath and answers questions put to him by special counsel. This is a very interesting and important point. He can't plead the fifth because due to the pardon, he faces no criminal jeopardy. It's the only reason you would plead the fifth, because you can't incriminate yourself. But if you're already free from criminal charges, then you're not incriminating yourself. Now you're speaking about something that you have the legal right and ability to speak. It's like when they give you a deal. If you talk about this, we won't bust you for being involved with it. They do it all the time. The same thing happens when you've been pardoned for it. You can't get in trouble. So it's like, you can be like, F you. Here's where I buried the bodies. It doesn't matter. Now watch all the people out there who don't grasp what Joe just did. This doesn't close the door to Hunter ever telling all under oath. It opens that door. It actually puts Hunter kind of in jeopardy, frankly. Because now he has to talk. Legally, he has to. And he could be held in contempt of court if he doesn't and be put in jail for that. He faces no criminal jeopardy. He cannot plead the fifth. I don't even know if moot would be appropriate to say, but it's pointless. It's not necessary. It can't be done at that point. There's no chance of you going to jail. So, yeah, we need to know this in order to make this crime fixed, solved. That's a very, very big point. Now, is this one of the ones? So, Katia Goba posted, and there it is. President Biden pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. Quote, today I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter, from the day I took office, blah, blah, blah. Chris Cillizza? Sure. A colossally selfish decision that will allow every Trump supporter to note that Democrats say one thing and do another. Equally true. Right? Equally true. Let's see if I got that. Yep. So Trump truthed this out. Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who have now been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice. Then Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this. The FBI didn't raid Hunter Biden's bedroom. They raided Barron's bedroom. Just think about that. That's how morally corrupt all these people are. Joe did not pardon Hunter because he is a father and who loved his son like the Mockingbird media and Democrat liars are saying. Joe pardoned Hunter all the way back to 2014 when Hunter started biolabs in Ukraine, started with Burisma, and began money laundering through dozens of LLC shell companies through the business deals in many foreign countries, including China. Hunter is not just Joe's son, he is his business partner, and Hunter sold his dad's power and influence for millions while Joe was VP and beyond. That's why the wide-sweeping pardon from 2014 till now. It covers VP to 4 years running for president to 4 years being president, 11 years of all kinds of crimes. But the bigger crimes are all the people in the FBI, DOJ, State Department, CIA, and other agencies that all knew about the Biden family corrupt business and crimes, yet stayed quiet, provided cover, lied about it all, but instead went after their political enemies. The 51 intel officials who signed their names to a lie that Hunter's laptop with all the evidence wasn't real. They all abused their power in order to create the illusion that Trump, not Biden, was the criminal. All of these people lying today saying Joe's a father who loved his son are clinging to the lies and will gladly abuse power and weaponize the government against all of us if they are ever in charge again. How many more pardons are coming for the Biden family members and others? It's a long time to January 20th, and she's not joking on that. So why the blanket pardon, right? This is a very good question. We'll try to get a bigger picture here. You've seen this before technically. This, I think, came from Russia. But U.S. coordination of biological laboratories and research institutes in Ukraine. Joe Biden was directly involved with the task setting of all the different Department of States and all that nonsense, who then allocated budgets to a number of different companies that were Russian in general, that were doing a lot of this biological research. There's funding for dual-use research that went because of intelligence and other things. And that was there was executors in Ukraine. People, again, were making money off this stuff every step of the way. Money was being laundered. And I think different LLCs of the Bidens were utilized in many of these steps. So the money would move from here to here to here to here, basically LLC by LLC, right? And they got a lot of money as well as all these other contractors. But on top of that, all these different drug manufacturers were making weird stuff there. What I say weird, just because I don't know what it is. I'm assuming, but I don't know. And they're securing profits, financial support for election campaigns. They're putting the money back into the same people's money. So we got George Soros, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton are some of the people specifically listed in here. And I believe this, again, was put together by the Russians, actually, I think, originally, when they were trying to present this to the United Nations. So this is why the pardon was the way the pardon was, because they understand the truth is coming out. Clandestine posted this: Joe pardons Hunter for all crimes beginning on January 1st, 2014. Hunter's biolab company, Metabiota, were granted their contract with the U.S. Department of Defense starting on February 10th, 2014. Metabiota were searching for bat coronaviruses in Ukraine with Project Predict via USAID. Coincidence? I'm sure it must be. Now, pardon power. The power of the pardon, if you will. I didn't even come close to it. I don't even remember what that slide was that I wanted. I'm sure it's still going to come up. I hope I remember what I wanted to say. A couple key things about pardons, by the way. And I didn't know this, one of them specifically. There's 4 key things. Presidential pardons violate core constitutional provisions and principles when they are used. So, like, presidents can pardon pretty much for anything except these 4 things. Placing the president above the law. This includes, they say, self-pardons and self-protective pardons. Self-protective pardons. If you're pardoning your son because there was crimes that you were directly involved with and you're trying to keep that from ever seeing the light of investigation, that is not legal. This pardon may get undone at some point. Also, it would be unfortunate if it came after Hunter spilled his guts, or if it happens before that and then they bring Hunter in and it's like, here's how this is going to play out, because here's what we know. You can't undermine other parts of the Constitution. You can't take away someone's rights. They do give some good examples of some of these. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but you can't violate criminal law. You can't pardon something that's, someone's going to continue to do criminal behavior, and you're like, I pardon him from this so he can continue to do it. And it's like, no, you can't do that. And license future law breaking on the president's behalf. You can't dangle carrots like, hey, do this for me and I'll pardon you. Any sort of quid pro quo and a pardon is a bad deal too. A couple of these could ultimately tie into what they've done, what he did for Hunter. Now, again, this was written by protectdemocracy.org. 100% guarantee protectdemocracy.org is a far left organization. This was put together with the hopes of keeping Trump from being able to do some things when he got out of office. Now, it's been updated, and the date on here is April 2024. This is fresh. So using their information, well, we might very well hang them with their own rope, shan't we? Why not? Let's do that. Elon Musk posted this interesting community note. Joe Biden said in a post way back when, I was 5/31/2024, this is why people hate the internet. It is forever, and some things don't age well. Joe Biden, no one is above the law. Well, Community Notes came in and said, by pardoning his son Hunter not merely for a single crime, but for all actual or potential crimes he may or may not have created over an 11-year period, Joe Biden has made clear that some people are, in fact, above the law. Community Notes it's tough. It's tough to argue with them, right? You can't. It hurts. Oh, this is gorgeous. Adam Schiff in 2018. This didn't age well either.
So the president's pardon of Scooter Libby, Congressman, has inspired you to propose new legislation. What exactly would it do?
What it would do is say that in the event the president pardons anyone in an investigation in which the president is a witness, a subject, or the target, those investigative files will all be turned over to the Congress. The Congress ought to know whether the president is using the pardon power to obstruct justice. The American people have a right to know. I think it is clearly constitutional. It doesn't prohibit him from granting a pardon, even a pardon he shouldn't grant. But it does say that we will be able to at least find out whether the president is using this power to shield himself from liability.
It offers transparency at the very least.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Don.
Oh, it sure does, guys. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, that just does. Yeah, 100%. 100% your words. Pencil neck. Democratic senators urge Biden to try to limit Trump's ability to use the U.S. military domestically. They are very concerned about Trump stopping them. Now, why would they be worried about using the military locally? I mean, there's probably a lot of things, I guess, but I mean, the big ones, like a lot of you guys are instantly going to scream, right? So the mass arrests, when they come in and they fly the Blackhawks in and they go in and arrest people, that have to be military that does it. Makes sense. That actually fits. What about some sort of weird inner street war, like kind of like that Tren de Aragua stuff that's happening in certain cities where they were planning to get a much, much larger foothold? I felt like the second one is if they're trying to clean up some sort of domestic problem, right? Some of these, like I said, Tren de Aragua. So I got interrupted. I don't know if you guys saw that. But some Tren de Aragua comes in, starts rustling stuff up. Maybe we use military to clean that up. Maybe we have to. Maybe the FBI is not strong enough. Who knows? There's some solid reasons for why they might be scared of what's coming. We'll see. Again, we'll see if they even let go of power. This is going to be very interesting. KGP seems to lose track of the lie. So there's a reporter. It's a weird little conversation. I lamented overplaying this. We're going to go ahead and play it anyway. But it's pretty retarded. KGP. Here you go.
He's saying his own Justice Department is broken, Kareem.
He believes in the Justice Department. He believes that there was
saying all that. He believes in the Justice Department?
This is his words. He said this. This is the president saying
He
this.
just said it's infected with politics.
I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision making. I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfair prosecuted.
So how deep is the rot? How many selective prosecutions are there at the DOJ?
What I can speak to is this particular case, which is Hunter Biden, who has the last name of the president.
I just love that last part. All I can say to this particular case, which is Hunter Biden, who has the last name of the president. Oh, man. Anyway, can't make this stuff up. Douglas McGregor posted this. Can't say it's true. Don't know where he's getting this info from, but this dude's kind of oddly got his finger on the pulse of some stuff that's going on these days. But White House officials reveal Hunter Biden threatened Joe with a book he was writing that would go public on his recent life experiences. Just a day later, Hunter was given a blanket pardon. Who knows? Might be. Maybe that was the threat used. Maybe that was kind of the threat to the deep state. I don't know. Some crazy's going on around us, guys. I would just suggest not hanging on to the deep state system all that much. That's just kind of the way I roll, the way I've played. I will say Fidelity seemed like they made a smart decision. They're actually going more into X. They're going to get a little higher amount of percentage in their portfolio towards X because they understand something's coming, and X is one of the stocks that's actually going to fare well through it. There's always money to be made in the stock market. That's true. It's not just an adage. The problem is if you're in a mass-funded fund, sometimes you don't get that same level of love, and sometimes you don't have people that are really looking out for you as much as looking out for specific clients or whatever. I mean, there's just so many different stories we keep hearing. Who knows what's what? What we do feel like and have heard, and many experts have talked about, the stock market seems to be bloated sort of heavily, and the dollar is getting destroyed on a daily basis because of inflation. So these are things that we all need to consider, and consider maybe what we do with our 401k or our IRA. A lot of people didn't realize that you can move out of their system, Federal Reserve note attached to stocks. You can move out tax-free and penalty-free into a precious metals-backed IRA. It's a beautiful way. It's pre-tax again, so you can still add to it if you'd like. It's an awesome vessel to do that. You can also take from it when you necessarily need to. It lets you do that. It's got that power. It's an IRA that's based off of precious metals, physical metals put into a trust. My good friends at Goldco, I'm happy partner with them. I love these guys. I've actually bought product as well, and they're amazing. Love them. Their customer service, bar none, and their ability to take care of business. I literally was done in less than a day with everything I had to do. Now, again, I wasn't switching over a 401k. I was buying some precious metals. It was a wonderful experience, and it can be for you as well. They've got many, many suppliers. This is a great company to utilize their expertise and their size and abilities. They're super good at it. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. And they will do that too. All right, we got some more stuff to get into. Elon Musk is right, says Bernie Sanders. That should frighten everybody. For good reason. The Pentagon, with a budget of $886 billion, just failed its 7th audit in a row. It lost track of billions. Last year, only 13 senators voted against the military-industrial complex and a defense budget full of waste and fraud. That must change. I 100% agree. This is Lindsey Graham in a nutshell. I can't wait for the truth to come out on that guy. Big time. Just big time. He so tries to skate the line. He was such a McCain. He's going to be, I don't know, he's probably the kingpin, really, of the rhinos, I would almost guess. Maybe Mitch. I don't know. Mitch is too Farmer Joe or whatever. I don't know. Mitch is a trip. Oh, this is good stuff here. John Bolton. So people are obviously very pissed off about Kash Patel. There's a whole bunch of stuff I saw. People like complaining or laughing. Joe and Mika were just having a meltdown. CNN a couple different times were having meltdowns. There's a bunch of stuff I saw. And I was like, this is insanity, right? Well, John Bolton, just because it's funny, he's calling for the Senate to reject Trump's nomination for FBI Director Kash Patel. Elon Musk says, this is a good sign. Bolton is the Jim Cramer of appointee recommendations. And the joke is, for those of you that may not get it, it's Jim Cramer's the stock guy that used to be funny. I think it was NBC or probably MSNBC. And he'd be like, sell, 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 sell. And then like all these things would happen. And all the stuff he'd say to sell was the stuff that actually just went up in value. And all the stuff he'd say to buy or hold on to is the stuff that crashes. Jim Cramer's always opposite of what happens. So, that's basically what he's saying here is, yeah, John Bolton, like him saying that Kash Patel is a bad choice. It's like, all right, so that's a guarantee. All right, we got that one figured out. Thank you. Elon Musk posted this in regards to Vivek Ramaswamy's post. Most government projects should come with a clear expiry date. That's why we set one for DOGE, July 4th, 2026. Interesting day in history, won't it be? So they're telling us the time frames that they're expecting to make a difference. And Elon Musk followed up with, the final step of DOGE is to delete itself. When have you ever heard a government say that about one of its projects? Never. Senator Chuck Grassley expressed criticism over FBI Director Christopher Wray's leadership of the agency, calling for a new course to be charted by the agency going forward. Grassley's comments come a day after President-elect Donald Trump nominated Kash Patel to serve as his next FBI director, prompting questions over what the future holds for Wray leading the FBI. FBI directors typically serve 10 years at a time, and some called for Wray to continue working his job. Grassley, however, called for the FBI to take a different pathway from Wray's leadership in favor of restoring accountability at the agency. Chris Wray has failed at fundamental duties of FBI director. He showed disdain for congressional oversight and hasn't lived up to his promises. It's time to chart a new course for transparency and accountability at FBI. The Iowa senator posted all this on X. So, yeah, coming after him hard. Vivek Ramaswamy posted this. The Supreme Court this year overturned Chevron's deference in its Loper-Bright ruling, which deals a seismic blow to federal bureaucracy. Under the old standard, federal courts deferred to agency interpretations of law when a statute was deemed ambiguous. So when the bureaucracy, if the federal agents basically took the law and then tried to use it or bend it in a way that they felt sort of benefited what this movement was by the deep state, essentially, then the courts were kind of like, okay, because of the Chevron deference, they're like, okay, since you guys are like kind of the experts at this, we'll give you leeway and we'll let you kind of go down this way of deciding what's ambiguous and what's not. So continuing, they say that's no longer the case. And here are some facts on the scope of its impact. Right? Chevron deference has been shot down. No longer do the federal agencies get to decide what the law means. That's the three-letter agencies specifically, too, when we talk about those. Lower federal courts relied upon Chevron somewhere between 17,000 and 19,000 judicial opinions. That's a bunch. A 2022 study found that federal appellate courts applied Chevron in about 85% of the cases in which an agency interpretation is at stake. In about 60% of these cases, the court concluded that statute was ambiguous, Chevron Step 1, and proceeded to determine whether the agency's interpretation was reasonable, Chevron Step 2, at which point they sided with the agency probably 77% of the time. A separate study evaluated more than 1,300 courts of appeals cases from 2003 to 2013 and found 94% deference to the agency's positions at Chevron Step 2. Overturning Chevron deference combined with a major questions doctrine codified in West Virginia versus EPA paves the way for not a slight but a drastic reduction in the scope of the federal regulatory state. It's coming. All the things they charge for that they decide that they're going to force on people. And this all came because of the fishermen that had to pay to have a specific person come and watch them and make sure they did what they were supposed to do. They literally had to pay for that individual to come and hang out with them as long and as much as they wanted. And they finally sued them and they said, this is ridiculous. And the EPA or whoever was doing it was like, no, it's the thing. It's what's best. Yeah, it was EPA, I believe. And the courts were like, okay, well, they know best. The Chevron doctrine or the Chevron deference. Well, that's destroyed. Destroyed, people. Raskin's moving towards a bid to oust Nadler on judiciary. They're trying to shake things up. It sounds like they're realizing there's some people, and I'm going to be honest, Nadler's definitely one of them. He's one of the people that was like, this is peaceful protest. Like, everything he says ages poorly. And I think he's so ridiculously disliked. But Nadler, of course, was continuing to keep his same level of power. Now, Raskin is the dude that pretty much, they say, spearheaded the entire impeachment stuff with Trump and probably Nancy Pelosi. But Raskin is really a rascal. So we got to understand that he is doing a lot of stuff right now behind the scenes. Stuff because they're trying to just literally oppose everything that we're about to do. He is as deep state gets. And he's a pirate too. Yar, matey. Adam Schiff demands Senate reject Kash Patel, longtime nemesis, as FBI director. Of course, he's worried about it. We'll see how the game continues to play. Pete Hegseth is in the news. Mainstream media is duped by a decade-old jealous screed from former Pete Hegseth's co-worker. So they're drudging up some really, really old information, and they instantly, people can say whatever they want, and the second the media gets a hold of somebody saying something that goes like in favor of what they're trying to prove, or just that somebody's character or moral compass is messed up, then all they got to do is just make an accusation, and it's done. They smear the hell out of you with it. So it happens all the time. We're used to it. Done it with Kavanaugh. They've done it with, it goes back to Clarence Thomas. They're doing it with him. I remember the pubic hair on the Coke can or whatever the hell that was. It was awesome. In fact, my parents were so political back then. I don't think he did blackface, but I know my mom dressed up as, they had the can. I think my dad was Santa, and they had the can of Coke because he was trying to do the Santa Claus thing, and then had the pubic hair, and I think she was doing the Anita girl or whatever. Anyway, this is the family I come from, guys. I'm not perfect, and I'm messed up. I come from crazy apples, that's for sure. Mainstream media has been duped by this decades-old thing, though, and so here we are. Trump's defense pick Pete Hegseth's drunken strip club escapades and rampant sexual harassment revealed in new scathing whistleblower report. Of course, on Daily Mail. So again, yes, they're trying to smear as best they can. Just letting you guys be aware of it. Let's see. Joshua Dunn posted, they decided to cash out. Apparently, Patriot Front is going to be shutting down. A lot of people are wondering, so they said the trash continues to take itself out. But this was the same day Kash Patel posted what he posted. And I'll bet you money that all the feds that have been involved in Patriot Front would have been exposed. Because this is a bunch of people walking around claiming to be very racist, Nazi flags, just very specific symbolisms. They all seem way too organized. Everybody thinks a lot of these guys are feds anyway. We'd probably find out they are. Probably still will, in fact. Kash was on talking about McCabe with, what's her face? Was it Laura? No, not Laura. What's her name? It's on here somewhere probably. Whatever the hell her name is. I'm drawing a blank. I forgot her name.
What is the culpability for that?
Yeah, 4 FISA warrants starting at the end of September 2016. And I couple the issue is sort of metastasized by the Clinton campaign. And Robbie Mook testified to this in court, the former Clinton campaign manager, that Hillary Clinton herself knew it, authorized it, and they leaked that false information to the media to try to gin up attention against Donald Trump. So they were working in the media and they were working in the FBI pursuant to Hellman's testimony. And those two forces combined with the Steele dossier to launch a unlawful FISA warrant. And that's some of the most damning testimony from this week. And it's got to go, as I've said before, all roads lead to Andy McCabe, the deputy director, and the Lovebirds in their office concocting an insurance plan in August of 2015. And I think John Durham knows what that insurance plan is. I know we figured it out during Russiagate, and we've trying to educate the American public on it, but it remains classified partly.
And we have those text messages back and forth where Lisa Page says to Peter Strzok, Trump is not going to win, right? And Peter Strzok comes back and says, no, we'll stop it. We have the insurance policy.
That's absolutely right. And I remind the audience that's in August of 2016 when they were digesting the Steele dossier, when they were running with the Alpha Bank server nonsense, and when they were getting ready to go to the FISA court. This trio who led this, the biggest criminal conspiracy in U.S. history, I believe, is in the crosshairs of John Durham, and that's what's coming next after the Danchenko indictment. He has their own words putting them on blast, and the FBI's corruption, along with the testimony from this agent and James Baker and Robbie Mook, shows that not only was the Steele dossier line of effort totally fraudulent, but so is the Alpha Bank server effort. And Hillary Clinton knew about it, and she authorized it and spent tens of millions of dollars pushing it to the FBI, the DOJ, and the media, and corrupting the world and putting on the biggest disinformation campaign in U.S. history.
So again, they're calling all these crazy things out, and they're hating it with a passion, as some would say. House task force on Trump assassination attempts to grill Secret Service chief. We're going to be talking to him again. We'll see what comes from it again. Am I hopeful? Nope. But, I'm hopeful, but I'm doubtful. That's what I am. My good friends, we're heading into obviously, festivities time. Beautiful time of year to be considering flannel sheets and things along those lines. My Pillow's got some great stuff. Still, deliveries days away, if not today, who knows? But mine is coming. I'm going to have my king-size regular classic pillow. I'm so stoked. It was like 1988, 1990, I don't know, whatever. It's like $20 each. Awesome. Get that classic pillow. They got the 2.0 going on too. You can, of course, get those down here. They got them. They're awesome. Got the cooling technology and everything. I'm a freak with my pillow, and I fell in love with the original. I'm just stoked about it. Got those. And I got some towels, too. I wanted some beach towels because time of year, think about it, $25, such a good deal. But they even went cheaper on some of the stuff. Dish towels got cheaper, $14.99. You can get a pack of dish towels. They got some really cool patterns, by the way, surprisingly. And again, the normal towels I love. They're just incredible. They've got the awesome slippers. My slippers, they're incredible as well. $60 going into the holidays, many different sizes, and the ones they can just slip right on as well. So some great, incredible products. Check it out. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Make sure you get that best night of sleep you've ever had. And anything over $75, you're getting free shipping. Think about the savings there, by the way. Anything over $75, free shipping. With all these $25 deals. Oh, dog beds down here, by the way. Dog blankets, dog beds. Look at that. And the original slippers. Look at that. Until they're gone. They may not have your size. You should check here first. $9.50. $9.50, folks. $9.50. It's the same picture, if you guys notice, as it is up here pretty much. Looks like the same picture to me, doesn't it? Kind of. Slightly different. Okay, slightly different. I'd check them out. $9.50. It's Christmas time. They don't have to know. I'm just saying. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. Come on, people. Do it. I dare you. All right. Trump posting this. And this is in regards to hostages, Iran, what's going on with Hamas and Hezbollah, all that stuff, right? Down in Israel and all that, right? Trump's already saying strong words. I think many of you are going to be like, you'll probably get chills, I hope. I don't know. Who knows? Everybody is talking about the hostages who are being held so violently, inhumanely, and against will of the entire world in the Middle East. But it's all talk and no action. Please let this truth serve to represent that if the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, 2025, the date that I proudly assume office as President of the United States, there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East. And for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity, those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in a long time and storied history of the United States of America. Release the hostages now. Wanted to scream it, but I've got people out front that might actually be concerned about me. I don't need that right now. California is open to special sessions preparing for anti-Trump lawsuits. Californians, first off, they want to spend your taxpayer money to just fight the government, which, again, this is a state that, much like Texas, was a state that had a lot of support for fighting the government, but with the border, and they did it differently, by the way. They weren't betraying as much as protecting their own borders. This is a sociological thing that they're trying to force an ideological push. Like, well, we think people should be able to come across illegally as much as they want. Well, that's not the law, and that's not what the Constitution says. Not even what your state constitution, my state constitution says. So no, it's a bad idea. You guys have just been brainwashing us for eons. And so a lot of people believe it as a good idea. It's not. You can't really get them to say anything more than, we're all a nation of immigrants. What do you hate immigrants? It's like, first off, no, you're right, we are, but legal immigrants, people that want to be Americans, not people that just want free shit. That's different. It's like a grocery store is successful because of customers. Not all people that come in, you could phrase it as a grocery store is successful because of people that take things from it. And it's like, no, people that take things from it properly, where they pay and then walk out with stuff. Awesome. Grocery store does well. If you just walk in and help yourself and then leave, no, you're hurting my business. And that's kind of how they look at it. That's a decent analogy. Make stuff up on the fly. Justin Trudeau, I don't know if you guys have heard, he's the Prime Minister of Canada for a little while anyways. I think didn't he vote him out? I don't know, whatever. I thought he was at the little people's table with the dude from France too. Like, I feel like Macron is on his way out the door. We got some interesting news next, actually, about them, I believe. But Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government is going to step up border enforcement in a visible and muscular way. All right. Canadians are tough. Don't mess with them, too, by the way. They are tough, man. According to top Canadian officials, this is what they're going to do. He had a dinner at Mar-a-Lago. We got a mutual understanding of what they're concerned about in terms of border security measures. Their public safety minister, Dominique LeBlanc, he said in this interview, government will announce additional border resources in the coming days or weeks. LeBlanc was one of the handful of Canadian officials who attended the dinner with the Trump and Trudeau people. So again, some people talked about some stuff at the dinner table. I'm sure some private conversations were had elsewhere as well, but all said. France is apparently on the brink, folks. Government headed for collapse as Le Pen backs no confidence vote against Prime Minister Barnier. The neoliberal French government is likely headed towards collapse this week. So Marine Le Pen's National Rally, I guess they're the ultra-left, I think, they confirmed that it would join with the left. I'm sorry, the National Rally is probably more center. Probably it's more center. National Rally sounds kind of that conservative kind of thing. Whatever the case is, they're joining the left and the center left or whatever, the conservative, whatever the hell. Probably still vastly far left of what many of us are used to. And they're actually peeling away from the kind of more radical left or progressive movement, if you will. They confirmed that they're going to join the left on a motion of no confidence after Prime Minister Michel Barnier attempted to push through financial austerity measures without a vote, trying to use some crazy little loophole in the Constitution. And they're trying to get rid of change the payouts, I believe, of that retirement thing, kind of like our Social Security here in the United States. See if I can find it quickly without, they were trying to reach the end of a dialogue, and therefore they would turn to deploy Article 49.3 to push through a measure to delay inflation adjustments to Social Security payments to seniors. So yeah, they wanted to not increase the payment to seniors equivalent to inflation, which has been caused by their poor money management as well, like the euro's inflating pretty badly too. So this is interesting. They're actually literally talking about kicking this individual out. No confidence. So we'll see. France might be taking back some control. U.S. is going to send Ukraine, apparently, another $725 million worth of counter-drone systems and anti-personnel landmines. So that's what we need, landmines. Another thing, by the way, that is actually, I think, considered illegal, especially anti-personnel mines. I believe they're illegal in the world. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm pretty sure they are. Maybe in certain small, but yeah, mines are a horrible thing. Mines are a horrible thing. Putin discusses Syrian situation, probably, with Iran's Pezeshkian. That's like Russian, but that's the Iranian dude. So whatever. By phone, they talked. Apparently, they're trying to discuss kind of this escalation, what's going on. Maybe try to calm it down. They're obviously not okay with more war. They want to see the war stop. They support that together. Interesting friendships, bedfellows are being made right now, but I do honestly think, believe it or not, first off, I still agree, multipolar world. This is their pole to handle, and they're doing it. They're doing it. And I think this war is kind of coming to an end. And if the rumors are true and they are literally attacking deep state targets, then, well, it's a benefit for us, right? And only the military could have done it. I mean, we're going to have that to say, I think, about a lot of stuff. Who knows? That might just be the wild card, like when you play Uno, right? That'll be your new wild card. Like, the military had to be there. And we'll all just chuckle. Oh, it'll always be funny. Taiwan's leader stops into the U.S. after weapons sale, drawing China's ire. He was Hawaii. I mean, it's not like he came that far, by the way. I'm not trying to slam it because I'd say, hey, why would you go further than you need to? And if I'm a U.S. leader, I'd be like, yeah, I'll meet you in Hawaii. Hell yeah. Take my whole family. That'll be rad. I'll be out there for a week. Thanks. I'll put a suit on one day. Probably has shorts on under this. I'm kidding, of course. Yeah. China got pissed. There were some weapons deals made and stuff like that. $385 million deal in weapons to Taipei. Includes fighter jet parts. And Beijing's pretty pissed about it. That's one of the bad things. Not bad things. I mean, all machines that fly need maintenance. It's reasonably expensive. Data broker blunder. This kind of stuff is what pisses me off about any company right now that's collecting biometric information on any human being on this planet. You can't guarantee me that you won't lose that data. Oh, we do everything we can. Yeah, you guys suck. You're definitely going to get hacked at some point, or you'll just give it to somebody, which is the other side of it, which sucks horribly. This is a common thing. It's what happens a lot. And here's just another big example. There's Earlier this year, the National Public Data made headlines for failing to secure 2.7 billion records of people whose data it collected. Now, on a smaller scale, another data aggregator has exposed the personal information of 600,000 Americans. It's like driver's license information, vehicle information, a whole bunch of good stuff. At least they got it's background check stuff. So it would have had even your work history, possibly, where you've lived, possibly, all the places. Think about some of the most difficult questions to answer when your bank calls you for something just to prove that the authentication is valid. Well, a lot of it comes from, well, this background check information. Like if you had that when you were answering the questions, you'd be like, where did I live 23 years ago? Right? Like, well, actually, that'd be sort of easy for me, but further than that, it starts to get tricky. I was all over the damn place for a period of my life. So yes, this happens a lot, way too much. The CEO of the fourth largest automaker, Stellantis, has resigned. Got some major resignations in the news right now. These are the guys that bought Jeep and Chrysler. I think they used to be part of the what's that little C500 thing that they that basically was the ones that bought this. Anywho, General Motors has been dying a fateful death, and since they've moved a lot of their manufacturing to Mexico and Canada so they could save money because they don't want to use American labor, now they have a problem because Trump's going to actually tariff them. So this dude's like failed every way that he possibly could, and they are coming after, well, he basically is, yeah. I think this dude was the one that was out. Yeah, he's resigning effective immediately. He's resigning effective immediately. He's quit immediately. That never happens, ever, unless you screwed up. Intel CEO retires as chipmaker loses ground in AI revolution. This dude's been there since 2021. He's retiring because he's failed to keep up with AI and demand and everything else. So, yeah, that's bad for Intel. I mean, it's failure. It just shows. And I think a lot of these guys, I think this is a lot of the deep state starting to, when Q talked about many times how watch to see how many CEOs and executives either A, retire, maybe before the Diddy list comes out, could be related, all that stuff probably. 2, just corruption. 3, being tied in with the families and everybody else, who knows? A lot of information is going to be coming out, so some of the people that are boogieing down the road is interesting. This was good. Biggest fraud against humanity. Viruses have never been isolated. I'm assuming this is true. I don't know. Dr. Robert O. Young, he's witness testimony here with the ITNJ Judicial Commission. It's obviously European because I got the stupid scarves on and shit, but whatever. Whatever the case is, what he says is interesting. Now, I'm going to say just from the standpoint of covering my butt, don't know if what he says is true or not, but to give this sort of level of statement at this type of venue, one would imply that he can back up what he's saying. We only get 2 minutes, so here it is.
Understands that the biggest fraud against this humanity, our humanity, is the fact that viruses have never been isolated. None. There is no measles virus. And once you understand the basic chemistry and biology of the fraud that they've perpetuated on the human race, and each year, if you ever thought about this, why is there a new virus every year? With a new name? With a similar types of symptomologies? This all started with the Third Reich. And Dr. Enders and the so-called viruses. I write about this in one of my books. A second thought about viruses, vaccines, and the HIV/AIDS hypothesis. And I'm not alone. Those who have been brave enough, who stood up, even Peter Duesberg, Professor Peter Duesberg at Berkeley University, a friend of mine, who wrote the book Inventing the AIDS Virus, lost all of his funding at the university. When the Nobel Prize winner for discovering the so-called HIV virus gets exiled to Beijing, because he's changing his mind about the existence of a virus. This is how bad things are.
Yeah, this is how bad things are. Now, again, it makes me wonder kind of what's the dealio with ivermectin, because they tell us an antiviral medication works extraordinarily well when it comes to some of these different things that we call viruses. Certainly parasites could be part of it. People have talked about that. They've even wondered, like, out loud, like, gee, self, I wonder if cancer has anything to do with parasites. There's some interesting studies that suggest there's certainly correlations, and possibly directly. It just has to make a lot of us wonder how many ailments are created just to keep us unhealthy. They don't like us healthy. An unhealthy population can't do anything about it and are easy to control, manipulate, kill if necessary. A staffer for House Administration Committee ranking member, I guess, Joe Morelle, probably, I don't know, was arrested Monday morning for bringing ammunition into a U.S. House office building. It's the second time in 3 years that a congressional staffer has done something like this, and he got arrested, big time. Dude's in big, big, big trouble. You don't do that. He's like, I forgot I had it. Yeah, you don't do that. He brought, I think, like 4 mags, and then he had 12 rounds, 11 rounds or something like that. One of the magazines was higher capacity, so he got busted for that. On top of everything else, it was 11 rounds, by the way. Told officers that he forgot. Faces charges for unlawful possession of ammunition, including one charge for possession of a high-capacity magazine. It's like someplace crazy like California, where you're not allowed to do that. It sucks. 10 rounds. Why do you need more than 10 rounds? I could think of, 15 to 18 reasons, depending on the makeup of the weapon. Wonder how much they were paid. Daniel Penny was greeted with shouts of guilty as he arrived in the courts Monday morning ahead of the closing arguments in his lightning rod Manhattan manslaughter trial and a chokehold death of Jordan Neely. I feel so very much. I mean, they called him the white guy on day one, so I feel like race has been a huge key role in this. We had an individual that was mentally unstable, was homeless, happened to be black, and was put into a chokehold to protect other people from this guy. Didn't shoot him, didn't stab him, put him in a chokehold. His own hands. They don't want weapons in anybody's hands, but his own hands, he put this man in a chokehold. And supposedly, he was conscious after he let go of him, but the guy was drugged up and everything else, whatever. So they're trying to make this about race. I'm wondering, and I don't think they've got the ammunition to do it. I don't think they've got the power. I don't think they've got the audience. They don't own Twitter anymore. But I think they wanted to maybe try to make this their next Floyd incident. I'm trying to blank on his name. How sad is that, right? Never forget. Like, never forget what was his name? Oh, yeah, and it was Maria Bartoloma, by the way, on the Fox. I'm curious if I get any emails, but yeah, I figured out who it was during the thing. I'm like, she's like one of my favorites, too. It bugs me, because she's Italian, and I don't know, I just got this weird special place in my heart for Italian people. My first love was Italian. She's a good girl. John Benet Ramsey's cops are making bombshell admissions. They're opening this case back up. They're going to reinvestigate. They're going to take the evidence and look back into it and see if they can figure out who the killer is. It blows my mind that this is the way it is. Now, with all the Diddy and stuff that's out now, almost got to make you wonder. And then the other thing that dawned on me is this was back in 1996, just to put a date on it. And she was 6 years old at the time, which means she was born in 1990, which means she would be 34 years old right now. John Benet Ramsey would be 34 years old right now. My camera should be on. 34 years old. Found strangled in her own home or whatever. It's horrible. Ridiculous, too. Jamie Foxx is going to reveal truth. He's doing a special on Netflix. Pretty cool. I will be honest. I don't know. I might go over to my buddy's house and try to watch that. He's got Netflix. But this is, I think it's cool. I suppose they're going to speak candidly about it. There's been rumor put out that it had something to do with Diddy. I'm wondering if that's just to help sell it, because that salaciousness would actually get people to watch it. So keep that in mind. You might end up being disappointed. But we'll see. That kind of stuff happens, though, all the time. You get a friend to talk about some rumor, and it puts asses in the seats. Just, that's how the entertainment industry works. And just a crazy story. Satanic Temple religious release. There's this Ohio school. And I put this out there because I think this is just a really interesting story in a lot of ways. Kind of messed up for sure, but interesting. But in Marysville, Ohio, there's Marysville Edgewood Elementary School is offering a Satanic Temple Hellion Academy, or HALE as it is. It's because a parent asked for one, probably because they're trying to be difficult, I would almost assume, or they are satanic themselves. Whatever the case is, the school is allowing it and shall begin soon. Maybe there'll just be one family's kids there, maybe more, don't know. But definitely a weird story. A lot of crazy stuff's going on in the world, folks. This is one of the many reasons why they say it's a war of good versus evil. And it's right in front of our faces for the most part. We're here to help. I'm here to help at least as much as I can. I love you guys, shoulder to shoulder. I'm going to keep marching forward. I hope you guys join me. I love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.